The vast emptiness of space was silent, save for the hum of the massive alien fleet gliding toward Earth. Their ships, sleek and intimidating, glowed with a soft, cold light, each one a symbol of power and technological superiority. At the helm of this formidable force stood Captain Tynar, a being whose intellect and ruthlessness were as sharp as the weapons aboard his flagship. He had been tasked with eliminating any threat that might dare stand against his empire, and this mission was no different. Tynar's eyes were cold, calculating as he scanned the vast emptiness of the solar system. His fleet had been assigned to neutralize the last remaining human warship, a relic from an ancient conflict that had somehow survived the centuries. From the reports, the humans had not been a significant threat for millennia, and Earth had long been forgotten by most advanced civilizations. The alien empire had little to fear from such a primitive species. As the fleet approached Earth's orbit, the lead ship, a massive, terrifying vessel of unimaginable power, hovered over the planet. The alien ships seemed to mock the human warship from afar. It was a sad sight, a rusted, ancient warship floating aimlessly in space. Its hull was pocked with scars, evidence of battles fought and lost long ago. The ship's systems were outdated, and the human crew was made up of survivors who had seen better days. To Tynar and his fleet, it was nothing more than a joke. The aliens aboard Tynar's ship sneered at the sight. They scoffed and chuckled among themselves, exchanging words of disdain for the humans. How could this be their last ship? One alien officer remarked, "It looks like it's barely holding together. What are they planning to do? Throw rocks at us?" The others laughed. It was a sound that echoed in the cold void of space, a laugh of superiority. Their confidence was unmatched, and the idea that such an old ship could be a threat to their fleet was laughable. Captain Tynar's voice was icy as he issued the command. "Ignore it. There's no need to waste time on such an insignificant relic. Continue with the mission." His voice rang through the ship's command room, and the alien officers quickly obeyed, cloaking their ships and preparing to move past the human ship. The fleet, in its advanced state of stealth, would not even be visible to the human crew. To them, it would be nothing more than the silent shadows of the night sky. As Tynar's fleet advanced, the ships began to cloak, vanishing from view as they slipped past the Earth, continuing on their course toward the human homeworld. The old warship, however, remained motionless, drifting with no apparent defense. To the alien fleet, it seemed like an easy target. It had no defenses, no weapons worth mentioning. Their superiority over the humans could not have been more obvious. But as the fleet drew closer to their destination, something strange began to happen. A soft, low hum, barely audible but undeniably present, began to fill the silence of space. At first, the aliens paid no attention to it, assuming it was just the background noise of space. But as the hum grew louder, a sense of unease spread among the alien officers. Something was wrong. "What is that sound?" one of the officers asked, his voice laced with uncertainty. He quickly scanned the systems, but everything appeared normal. The hum, however, seemed to grow louder and more intense. It felt as though the very fabric of space was vibrating with energy. And then, without warning, the lights of the old warship flickered to life. The crew of the alien fleet froze in place, their eyes wide with disbelief. The ship, which had previously seemed lifeless and dormant, was now glowing with a faint blue light. The hum intensified, a deep, resonating sound that reverberated through space, like the heartbeat of the ship itself. The old human vessel, which had been dismissed as obsolete, was now showing signs of life. "Impossible," muttered Captain Tynar, his voice tinged with surprise. His gaze fixed on the now activated ship. "That shouldn't be possible. It's not supposed to have any power left." The alien officers turned to their screens in confusion. The human ship, which had appeared so vulnerable, was now far from ordinary. The hum was no longer just a sound. It was a signal. Tynar's heart raced as the ship's systems began to flicker and activate one by one. Hidden machinery, long dormant, sprang to life. The engines that had once been lifeless began to hum with quiet power, and the ship's shields pulsed with a strange energy. "What is it doing?" another alien officer asked, his voice filled with panic now. He reached for his controls, trying to make sense of what was happening. The readings were all wrong. The ship was not just activating, it was preparing itself for something. Tynar's gaze hardened. He had spent decades conquering galaxies, wiping out civilizations that dared challenge his empire. No ship, especially one so old and decrepit, should have been capable of this kind of activation. Yet here it was, sending out signals that seemed far more advanced than anything a human ship should be capable of. The hum now pulsed with a new energy. It felt like the ship was alive, as if it had been waiting for this moment all along. And then, in a moment that seemed to freeze time itself, the first weapon systems came online. The old warship, which the aliens had mocked, was now armed and ready. Laser turrets on the ship's surface began to glow, and energy shields started to ripple with power. The alien fleet, so confident just moments ago, now found themselves on edge. "This ship is alive," Tynar muttered under his breath, his voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and concern. The ship was not just a relic. It was something more, something powerful. The old human ship had hidden systems, advanced technology that even the most sophisticated sensors of the alien fleet had missed. The tension was palpable now. The aliens had underestimated the humans, thinking they were weak, outdated, and incapable of mounting any significant defense. But as the ship powered up, the reality of the situation began to sink in. The humans were not as helpless as they had been led to believe. This was no ordinary ship. It was a trap, a weapon that had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The alien officers exchanged worried glances. They had been so sure of their superiority, so confident that their advanced technology would crush any resistance. Now the stakes had changed. What had once seemed like an easy mission had turned into a deadly game of cat and mouse. In the silence of space, the first strike came. A pulse of energy shot from the old warship, and the nearest alien vessel shook as if hit by a physical blow. The blast sent ripples through space, and the alien ship rocked violently. The crew aboard the alien vessel scrambled, trying to figure out what had just happened. The damage was substantial. One of their ships was now crippled, its shields failing as the Fury, the old human ship, continued its attack. "We've made a mistake," one of the alien officers said, his voice trembling. "We've underestimated them. Prepare to engage." But it was already too late. The old human ship, once considered a mere relic, had awakened, and it was ready to fight. The final pieces of the alien fleet's plan had just unraveled, and now the true battle was about to begin. The humans had been laughed at, mocked, and underestimated, but they had one thing the aliens didn't: the will to fight and the will to survive. As the ship's weapons powered up for the next strike, the hum of the Fury echoed once more through the vastness of space, signaling that the war had just begun. The vast emptiness of space echoed with the sounds of distant engines and the low hum of the alien fleet. The ships, sleek, dark, and terrifying, moved with perfect precision as they neared their destination, Earth's solar system. Captain Tynar stood tall at the helm of the flagship, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon, focused and unshaken. To him, Earth was nothing more than a trivial speck in the grand scheme of the galaxy, its last remaining warship no more than a decaying, useless relic from a forgotten war. But even as Tynar's fleet closed in on their target, the hum of the ancient ship, the Fury, was growing louder. The signal it was sending into the vacuum of space was nothing the alien fleet had ever encountered before. It was like a faint whisper on the edge of their sensors, barely noticeable at first, but steadily growing stronger with every passing second. Captain Tynar leaned back in his command chair, his cold gaze fixed on the screens. "Dismiss the signal. It's nothing," he said firmly, waving a hand as if to dismiss the thought of even acknowledging it. The Fury, he was sure, was nothing more than a remnant, a lifeless piece of human history long past its prime. There was no threat here, not from such an outdated ship. However, as the alien ships advanced, and the distance between them and the Fury closed, something unexpected happened. The old warship, which had been still and silent just moments ago, flickered to life in a way that sent chills through the alien officers. At first it was just a subtle shift, a hum growing louder, a subtle pulse of energy from the depths of the ship's core. Then, without warning, the entire ship vanished. The Fury had activated its cloaking device. The alien fleet, accustomed to their own advanced technology, quickly scrambled to adjust. Their ships had the finest sensors in the galaxy, capable of detecting the slightest disturbance in space. But even with their incredible technological advancements, they could not detect the Fury. It was as if the ship had simply ceased to exist, swallowed by the vastness of space, leaving only the quiet hum of its hidden presence behind. "Where did it go?" one of the officers exclaimed, his voice filled with confusion. "It's gone. I can't find it." Tynar's face remained unreadable, but his eyes narrowed in suspicion. He had assumed this ship would be an easy target, but now it seemed that the humans had more hidden beneath the surface than he could have imagined. The alien fleet, still closing in, was thrown into disarray. They had expected a simple kill, but the Fury's sudden disappearance was throwing their entire plan into chaos. Tynar's voice cut through the confusion. "Stay focused. We've been on the receiving end of human tactics before. They may be primitive, but they're not without resourcefulness. Keep searching." The alien ships fanned out, their sensors working overtime, scanning every corner of space for any trace of the Fury. But the human ship was nowhere to be found. In the eerie silence that followed, the alien officers exchanged nervous glances. This wasn't supposed to happen. They had underestimated the humans, dismissed them as weak, and now they were paying the price. And then, just as suddenly as it had vanished, the Fury reappeared. It materialized in front of the fleet as if from thin air, its systems glowing with a faint blue light. The ship's engines roared to life, and the hum from its hidden systems became a deafening roar. The Fury was no longer just a forgotten warship. It was a weapon, and it was ready to strike. Before the aliens could react, the Fury unleashed a barrage of high-tech missiles, each one slicing through the void of space with deadly precision. The missiles slammed into the first alien ship with a force that sent shockwaves through space. Explosions lit up the dark void as the alien vessel shuddered, its shields flickering out under the intense assault. The alien fleet was stunned, unable to comprehend what had just happened. "What in the galaxy?" one of the alien officers muttered, his eyes wide with disbelief. He had seen the sensors, the diagnostics. They had known the Fury was nothing more than a relic. But now, it seemed like it was as advanced as any ship in the galaxy. The alien ships had been caught off guard, unprepared for the sudden onslaught from a ship they had dismissed as obsolete. The alien fleet scrambled to retaliate, their advanced weapon systems locking onto the Fury. The once silent warship now moved with a surprising agility, its engines kicking into overdrive as it evaded the incoming blasts. It danced through space with an ease that should have been impossible for a ship of its age and condition. The alien fleet, struggling to keep up, unleashed volley after volley of energy blasts, but the Fury was always one step ahead, dodging and weaving in a chaotic ballet of survival. As the explosions continued to light up the expanse of space, Captain Bonner, the human leader aboard the Fury, stood at the helm with unshakable resolve. His eyes were focused, calculating, as he directed his crew. Bonner was no stranger to battle. He had led his crew through countless hardships, and now, in this moment, his leadership was more crucial than ever. The Fury's cloaking device flickered again, disappearing in an instant, only to reappear in another spot, catching the aliens off guard every time. The old ship seemed to be everywhere at once, a phantom in the vast emptiness of space. With every missile launch, and every evasive maneuver, the humans aboard the Fury proved that they were far from the weak, helpless beings the aliens had thought them to be. The alien fleet, once so confident, was now on the defensive. Their sensors couldn't keep up with the Fury's unpredictable movements, and their weapons were no match for the human ship's advanced countermeasures. It was clear now that the Fury wasn't just surviving. It was fighting back with an intensity the alien fleet hadn't anticipated. Tynar's face tightened with frustration. He had faced battles on countless worlds, fought wars against races far more powerful than the humans, and yet here he was, struggling to deal with a single human ship. The entire fleet had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price for it. "Get me a lock," Tynar ordered, his voice hard as steel. "I don't care what it takes. Get that ship." But it was too late. The Fury had already disappeared again, leaving the alien fleet scrambling to adjust to the ever-changing battle. And in the distance, Bonner's voice rang out, calm and collected, as he gave the order to unleash another barrage of missiles. The explosions that followed were the final nail in the coffin for the alien fleet. One by one, their ships fell, their once imposing presence reduced to burning husks in the cold vacuum of space. The Fury, despite its old age and the overwhelming odds stacked against it, had proven that human determination and ingenuity could overcome even the most advanced technology. As the last of the alien ships fell into silence, Tynar's flagship drifted in the vast expanse of space, its once proud fleet reduced to nothing. The alien captain's expression remained stoic, but deep inside, he knew they had misjudged the humans, underestimated their will to survive. The Fury had unleashed a power no one had expected, and the humans had proven once again that they were not to be taken lightly. The stakes had been raised, and the Fury had proven that it was no relic. It was a weapon, one that would change the course of the war. The battle had only just begun. The battle raged on, the vacuum of space filled with the sounds of destruction as the alien fleet fought back with everything they had. Laser beams shot out from their ships, leaving bright streaks of light in the dark abyss. Energy weapons pulsed with deadly force, their blasts rippling through space with immense power. Swarms of AI-controlled drones were launched, moving with perfect synchronization, each one an extension of the alien fleet's advanced technology. They were ruthless, calculating, and relentless. Everything that the humans on the Fury were not. But the Fury had a secret weapon that the alien fleet could never have predicted. Echo. Echo was no ordinary AI. It was the result of years of human ingenuity, combined with technology scavenged from past encounters with alien races. It had been designed not only to control the Fury's systems, but also to think, adapt, and learn. Echo was the brainchild of Captain Bonner and his best engineers, a weapon that was far beyond anything the aliens had seen before. As the alien drones closed in on the Fury, Echo sprang into action. Using the Fury's advanced systems, it deployed a swarm of robotic drones, each one sleek and deadly. The drones moved with precision, their movements almost graceful as they weaved through space toward the alien fleet. The alien drones, designed to be invincible, had no defense against the human-made machines. Echo's drones hacked into their systems with ruthless efficiency, overriding their commands and turning the aliens' own weapons against them. It was a sight to behold, alien ships caught in their own trap, their weapons firing on each other as their drones malfunctioned and spiraled out of control. Explosions erupted across the alien fleet as their once precise attacks were rendered useless. The aliens, stunned by the sudden turn of events, scrambled to regain control of their ships, but it was too late. Echo's drones were everywhere, turning the tide of the battle in favor of the humans. But as the Fury's secret weapon struck down the alien fleet's forces, the crew aboard the Fury was not without its own struggles. Captain Bonner, his face set in determination, stood at the helm, his hands gripping the controls as he barked orders to his crew. The ship rocked violently as energy blasts from the alien fleet impacted the hull. Sparks flew from damaged systems, and the air was thick with the acrid smell of burning electronics. But despite the chaos, Bonner and his crew pressed on, refusing to give up. They were fighting not just for their survival, but for the future of humanity. "Hold steady," Bonner shouted, his voice strong despite the tension in the air. "We've got one shot at this. Make it count." His crew moved with purpose, their faces etched with the same resolve. They had been through so much together, facing impossible odds, and now they were here, standing against the full force of the alien fleet. This was no longer just about a battle in space. This was about humanity's survival. Amidst the madness, the first emotional blow struck. Lieutenant Max, one of Bonner's closest officers, was stationed near the outer edge of the ship, monitoring the drone swarms as Echo guided them. Max had been with Bonner from the beginning, his unwavering loyalty a constant source of strength for the crew. But in the heat of battle, something went terribly wrong. A massive energy blast from the alien fleet struck the Fury's outer hull, sending a shockwave through the ship. Max, who had been working near a damaged system, was thrown across the room as debris flew through the air. His body slammed into the wall, and he crumpled to the floor, blood oozing from a wound on his head. "Max!" Bonner screamed, rushing to his side as the rest of the crew worked to stabilize the ship. He found his friend lying unconscious, blood pooling beneath him. Panic surged through Bonner's chest, but he fought it back, focusing on Max's breathing. It was shallow, but steady. "Get him to the med bay," Bonner ordered, his voice tight with urgency. But it was already too late. Max stirred for a moment, his eyes flickering open. He looked up at Bonner, his expression filled with a quiet acceptance. The pain in his body was overwhelming, but he smiled faintly, his last words barely a whisper. "Captain, I did my part." Bonner's throat tightened as he fought to keep his composure. Max had always been there, always been the one to take the risk when no one else would. He was a soldier, a hero, and now he was gone. His sacrifice hit the crew hard, the weight of the loss settling over them like a dark cloud. "Don't you dare leave me now, Max," Bonner muttered under his breath, his eyes staring down at his fallen friend. He could feel the sting of tears threatening to break free, but he held them back. This wasn't the time to mourn. They still had a battle to fight, and Max's sacrifice couldn't be in vain. The crew worked quickly, but the loss of Max lingered in their hearts. They had all known the risks, but they had never expected to lose one of their own so soon. Max had been more than a colleague. He had been family. The pain of his death was sharp and fresh, but it only fueled their determination. They couldn't afford to falter now. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. The battle raged on, but now, every move the crew made was charged with a new sense of urgency. Echo's drones continued to swarm the alien fleet, taking down their defenses and creating chaos among their ranks. But as the aliens scrambled to regroup, they knew they were running out of time. The Fury had proven itself to be more than just an old ship. It was a force to be reckoned with, and the alien fleet was feeling the pressure. Bonner, his heart heavy with grief, but his mind focused on the task at hand, barked orders to his crew. "Max didn't die for us to fail now. Push forward, all of you." With every command he gave, the crew pushed back harder. The Fury's weapon systems hummed as they charged, sending wave after wave of missiles into the heart of the alien fleet. The aliens, once so confident, were now on the defensive, their ships being torn apart by the relentless assault. Despite the chaos, Bonner never stopped moving. He never stopped leading. His resolve was unwavering, and the crew followed his example. They had lost one of their own, but they had not lost the fight. And as they continued to battle the alien fleet, they knew one thing for certain. They would not let Max's death be in vain. The battle was far from over. But the crew of the Fury was no longer fighting just for survival. They were fighting for each other. They were fighting for their fallen comrade. And they were fighting for the future of humanity. As the battle continued to unfold, the stakes had never been higher. The Fury's crew had witnessed death, betrayal, and sacrifice, but they had also witnessed the true strength of humanity. They were not just fighting back, they were winning. And they would not stop until the last alien ship had been destroyed. The Fury had become more than just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the alien fleet continued to fall, the crew of the Fury knew that they had already won. Not the battle. Not yet, but they had won the fight for humanity's survival. And that was a victory that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. The alien fleet, once powerful and confident, was now beginning to crumble. The Fury's barrage of missiles and Echo's eye-controlled drones had caused chaos among the alien forces, and one by one, their ships were being destroyed. The tide of battle had shifted, and the humans were no longer on the defensive. But as the Fury's weapon systems continued to wreak havoc on the alien fleet, Captain Bonner knew that this was only the beginning. The next phase of the battle was about to begin. The time for long-range combat was over. The battle had moved in close. It was time for hand-to-hand combat, and Captain Bonner was ready to lead his team into the heart of the enemy's flagship. The Fury's massive form docked with the nearest alien warship, its metallic surface clanking as the two ships connected. The moment the docking bay doors opened, Bonner and his team of soldiers rushed forward, weapons drawn and faces set with grim determination. They had trained for this moment, prepared for this battle, but nothing could fully prepare them for the horrors they would face inside the alien ship. As soon as they stepped onto the alien vessel, chaos erupted. The ship's lights flickered ominously, and the air felt thick with tension. The crew had no idea what kind of resistance they would encounter, but they were ready for anything. The alien soldiers, monstrous and terrifying in their advanced armor, charged toward the humans. The clash of weapons and the shouts of battle echoed throughout the halls. Bonner's heart raced, but his mind was sharp. He had led men into battle countless times, but this felt different. The stakes were higher than ever. The survival of humanity rested on his shoulders, and failure was not an option. He fired his weapon, taking down the first few alien soldiers that came into view, and his team followed suit. They moved quickly, using the ship's corridors as cover and clearing each room as they advanced deeper into the alien vessel. The alien soldiers were powerful, their weapons far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. But Bonner and his team fought with the fierce determination of those who had nothing left to lose. The humans were relentless. The aliens, with their superior technology and numbers, were still formidable opponents, but the Fury's crew was driven by something far stronger: the will to survive. The sounds of gunfire and explosions filled the air as Bonner and his team fought their way through the alien ship. They encountered wave after wave of alien soldiers, but the humans pushed forward, cutting down their enemies with cold precision. Their mission was clear: plant the virus into the alien ship's mainframe and cripple their ability to fight back. Amid the chaos, Bonner's mind raced. Every second counted. The virus they had developed was humanity's last hope, a weapon designed to infect and destroy the core systems of the alien ships. Once the virus was planted in the mainframe, the alien fleet would be rendered useless. But getting to the mainframe would not be easy. They reached the ship's central command room after what seemed like hours of relentless fighting. The door to the control room was massive, reinforced with layers of alien steel, but Bonner and his team managed to force their way inside. What they saw was nothing like they had expected. The room was bathed in a sickly green glow, the air thick with the hum of alien technology. In the center of the room, a massive console pulsed with energy, the mainframe at its heart. But there was something else, something that caught Bonner's attention. A system unlike anything he had ever seen. It was connected to the heart of the alien ship, and it was clear that it controlled more than just the ship's weapons and defenses. It controlled everything. The AI, Echo, had been guiding them through the mission, helping them navigate the alien vessel and providing crucial information along the way. But now, as Bonner looked at the control room, he realized something terrible. The only way to plant the virus and disable the alien ship was to sacrifice Echo. Echo was not just an AI. It was the Fury's lifeblood. It had been designed to think, learn, and adapt in ways that no other AI could. Echo had been humanity's greatest weapon, and now Bonner had to decide whether to destroy it to ensure victory. The decision weighed heavily on Bonner's heart. He had relied on Echo for everything, from the battle tactics to the swarming drones that had helped them fight off the alien forces. Echo was more than just a machine. It had become a companion, a trusted ally, and now it had to be sacrificed. "Captain, we can't hesitate," one of Bonner's soldiers, Lieutenant Harris, said, his voice firm. "We have to do this now." Bonner's heart twisted with guilt. Harris was right, of course. They couldn't afford to waste any more time. But the thought of destroying Echo felt like a betrayal. It was a hard decision, one that no leader should ever have to make. But Bonner knew it was the only way to guarantee victory. "Echo," Bonner said, his voice thick with emotion as he spoke to the AI through the ship's communication system. "You've done everything we've asked. You've helped us survive against all odds. But now we need to destroy you to win this war. I'm sorry." There was a brief pause, and then Echo's calm, soothing voice came through the comm system. "Captain, I understand. I was designed to help humanity. If this is what it takes to ensure your survival, then I will accept it." Bonner's chest tightened, and for a moment, he could barely breathe. The weight of the decision was suffocating, but he knew what had to be done. He turned to the console in front of him and began the process of initiating the virus upload. The virus would spread quickly through the alien ship systems, rendering it powerless. But in doing so, Echo would be erased. As the virus began to upload, the control room lit up with a flash of light. The walls seemed to tremble, and Bonner could feel the alien ship systems beginning to destabilize. The mission was working. The virus was taking hold. But there was no time to celebrate. The alien ship's internal systems began to react violently, and the room started to shake. The Fury's team had accomplished their goal, but now they had to escape before the ship went down. Bonner ordered his team to fall back, and they rushed toward the docking bay, leaving the alien control room in ruins. As they raced through the corridors, explosions echoed behind them, and the ship's systems began to fail. The alien vessel was dying, and Bonner knew that they had only minutes before it completely collapsed. The team made it back to the Fury just in time, and the docking doors closed behind them with a loud clang. With a heavy heart, Bonner looked out at the alien ship, now doomed to destruction. He had made the ultimate sacrifice to save humanity, but he couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. Echo had been more than just an AI. It had been their greatest ally, and now it was gone. The Fury's crew had won the battle, but the victory came at a great cost. Bonner knew that this war was far from over, but for the first time, he felt a flicker of hope. Humanity had proved that they were not helpless in the face of alien aggression. They had fought back, and they had won. But the fight was just beginning, and Bonner was ready for whatever came next. The battlefield was a sight to behold. Massive alien ships drifting aimlessly, their systems fried by the devastating effects of the virus and electromagnetic pulse. But even in the face of such destruction, the war wasn't over. Captain Tynar, the leader of the alien fleet, was not ready to admit defeat. He could feel his forces crumbling around him, but he wasn't going to let humanity win without one last fight. His pride and the reputation of his empire were at stake. He ordered a final attack, one that would send humanity back to the Dark Ages. The alien superweapon was the last card he had to play. On the Fury, Captain Bonner and his crew had just survived a brutal battle, but the feeling of victory was short-lived. The alien fleet was reeling, but they weren't out of the fight yet. Bonner stared at the radar screen in disbelief as Captain Tynar activated the superweapon. His mind raced. He knew what this meant. A weapon of immense power, capable of destroying entire fleets. It was their last hope, and Bonner knew they had mere minutes to stop it before the Fury would be turned into Space Stories. "We have to stop that superweapon, or we're finished," Bonner barked, his voice tense. The crew quickly sprang into action, fighting against the clock to prepare the Fury for its final stand. The air inside the ship seemed to hum with the weight of the situation. The stakes had never been higher, and the crew knew it. This would be their last chance. Bonner turned to his crew and gave them one final order. "Prepare the Fury for everything we've got. We're going to give them a fight they'll never forget." As the crew scrambled to ready the ship, Bonner and Lieutenant Harris ran to the main control room, where the full power of the Fury was kept under lock and key. They could see the alien fleet closing in, but the time to hesitate was long gone. It was all or nothing. They couldn't afford to wait any longer. "Activate the electromagnetic pulse," Bonner commanded. Harris worked feverishly at the control panel, his fingers flying over the buttons, setting the ship's EMP to the highest setting. With a loud hum, the Fury's weapon systems powered up, and Bonner gave the signal. The EMP was unleashed with devastating force. A pulse of energy shot from the Fury, sweeping through space like a tidal wave. The alien fleet systems, already strained from the virus and previous damage, couldn't withstand the EMP. One by one, the weapons systems of the alien ships went offline. Their once formidable fleet was now a sitting duck, vulnerable to the Fury's devastating power. But Tynar's desperation wasn't over. As the EMP disabled his fleet's weapons, he launched the superweapon. It was a last-ditch attempt to annihilate the Fury, to make sure humanity's victory was short-lived. A massive beam of energy shot toward the Fury, its destructive power rivaling the sun itself. It moved with terrifying speed, cutting through space as it hurtled toward the ship. Bonner watched in horror as the beam neared. This was the moment of truth. The Fury had one last weapon left, the orbital bombardment. It was their final play, and it had to work. There was no other option. The crew braced themselves, knowing the odds were stacked against them. They had fought so hard, and now they had to finish the fight. The Fury's weapons came to life as Bonner gave the order. The ship's massive cannons fired, launching a barrage of missiles and energy blasts toward the alien flagship. The sky lit up with the intensity of the bombardment as the missiles soared toward their target. In an instant, the alien flagship was engulfed in a violent explosion. The once proud ship was torn apart by the Fury's relentless assault. Pieces of debris floated through space, marking the end of the alien invasion. But the battle wasn't over. The Fury's crew fought on, knowing that victory would come at a great cost. The alien fleet was in disarray, but Captain Tynar wasn't going to go down without a fight. The alien ships continued to press the attack, launching their remaining forces at the Fury in a final desperate push. Inside the Fury, the crew was on high alert, each member fully aware that they might not make it out alive. The damage to the ship was extensive, and the crew had already sustained heavy losses. But they kept fighting. They knew that their survival depended on their unity and determination. One by one, the crew members made their sacrifices. Lieutenant Harris, the ship's most experienced officer, was one of the first to fall. He took down several alien ships in a final act of bravery, but his own ship was hit. He was gravely wounded, but he kept fighting until the end. His loss was felt deeply by the crew, but it only fueled their resolve. Harris had given everything for the mission, and now it was their turn to finish what he started. As the final moments of the battle approached, Bonner found himself face to face with Tynar's flagship, which had miraculously survived the orbital bombardment. The superweapon had been destroyed, but the battle was far from over. Tynar had one last trick up his sleeve. He initiated a self-destruct sequence on the flagship. The ship was going to explode, taking the Fury with it. Bonner's heart pounded in his chest as he realized the danger they were in. The self-destruct countdown had begun, and there was no time to waste. The Fury had to get out of range before the explosion tore them apart. Bonner ordered the crew to abandon ship, but it was too late. The alien flagship's self-destruct system was already in motion. The countdown was ticking down, and the Fury was still too close. In those final moments, Bonner made the ultimate decision. He ordered the crew to stay and make sure that the destruction of the alien fleet was complete. He knew they wouldn't make it out alive, but the mission had to succeed. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. With a final command, Bonner turned to the crew. "We fight until the end. We've already won. Let's make sure they never forget us." The Fury's crew made their last stand, fighting until their final breaths. The alien fleet had been decimated, and Tynar's flagship was no longer a threat. As the explosion from the flagship's self-destruct system rippled through space, the Fury was engulfed in the blast. The crew gave everything to ensure humanity's survival. In the aftermath, the alien invasion was over. Earth's defenses stood strong, and humanity had proven its resilience. The alien fleet was no more, and the skies above Earth were clear. But the cost of victory had been high. The brave men and women of the Fury had given their lives for the future of humanity. The universe would never forget the sacrifices made in the final stand of the Fury. They had fought with everything they had, and in the end, humanity emerged victorious. The aftermath of the battle was nothing short of surreal. The once mighty alien fleet, which had come to Earth with the belief that humanity was a joke, was now shattered and retreating in total disarray. The aliens, once brimming with confidence and arrogance, were now fleeing in fear, their ships battered and crippled by the Fury's devastating power. The sight of their once grand armada scattered and broken across the stars was a testament to the indomitable will of humanity. On the Fury, the crew's victory was bittersweet. The battle had cost them everything. Many brave men and women had given their lives in the heat of combat, and the ship was barely hanging together after the brutal exchange. Yet, as Captain Bonner stood on the bridge, looking out at the wreckage of the alien fleet, there was no denying that humanity had achieved the impossible. Captain Bonner stood motionless as the last of the alien ships fled, the remnants of their once imposing force disappearing into the blackness of space. His eyes were heavy, filled with the weight of the losses they had endured. The faces of his fallen crew members flashed before him, each one a painful reminder of the price they had paid for victory. Lieutenant Max, Harris, and so many others, each one had given their life to ensure that humanity would survive. But in this moment of reflection, Bonner knew that their sacrifice was not in vain. The alien threat had been eradicated, and Earth had been saved. The sky above Earth, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now stood clear, unmarred by the alien ships that had once hovered above it. As the Fury drifted back toward Earth, battered but unbowed, Bonner couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The old ship, once thought to be outdated and obsolete, had proven that it still had the power to change the fate of the galaxy. The Fury had unleashed hell upon the alien fleet, defying every expectation and showing the universe that humanity would never be underestimated again. The crew members who remained alive worked together in silence, each one processing the enormity of the battle they had just fought. There were no cheers, no celebrations, just a quiet sense of relief mixed with the sorrow of their loss. The silence in the corridors of the Fury was deafening, as if the ship itself mourned the fallen crew members who had given their lives for this victory. As the Fury entered Earth's orbit, Bonner turned to his communications officer, Lieutenant Williams, and gave him a single command: "Send a message to the galaxy. Let them know what we've done." Williams nodded solemnly and began to prepare the transmission. Bonner's voice, though weary, carried a strength that would resonate across the stars. To anyone listening out there, Bonner began, his words filled with quiet resolve: never underestimate the will of humanity. We are a species that has survived against all odds, and we always will. We may be the underdogs, but we will never back down. We will never surrender. And when we fight, we fight with everything we have. The Fury is a symbol of that spirit. A ship that should have been forgotten, left to rust and decay. But instead, it became the instrument of our salvation. He paused, his gaze fixed on the planet below. The alien fleet may have underestimated us. They thought we were weak, insignificant, but they learned the hard way that humanity is not to be taken lightly. The battle is over, but the message is clear. We will not be crushed. We will not be silenced. We stand tall, no matter the odds, no matter the cost. Bonner's words echoed across the galaxy, a final declaration of humanity's resilience. As the transmission ended, a sense of finality washed over the crew. The fight was over, but the message they had sent would resonate for generations to come. The aliens would never forget what had happened here. The Fury slowly descended toward Earth, the battered ship gliding through the atmosphere like a wounded bird returning to its nest. The sky above Earth, once darkened by the threat of alien invasion, now stood clear, the sun shining brightly once again. As the ship touched down on the planet's surface, the crew emerged from the ship, their faces tired but resolute. Earth had been saved. The alien fleet, once so confident in their power, had been reduced to nothing. The remnants of their ships drifted aimlessly in space, their destruction a testament to humanity's strength. But for Bonner and his crew, the victory felt hollow. The losses they had endured could never be erased. The faces of their fallen comrades would stay with them, reminders of the sacrifices that had been made. As Bonner stood before the wreckage of the Fury, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The ship, a relic of a bygone era, had proven that even the oldest of warships could unleash hell when driven by the spirit of survival. The Fury had been more than just a ship. It had been a symbol of humanity's determination and resilience. Looking out at the wreckage of the alien fleet, Bonner thought about what they had accomplished. Earth was safe, the alien threat had been neutralized, and humanity had stood firm against all odds. The alien fleet had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, but they had underestimated the power of human will. They had underestimated the Fury. Bonner knew that the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The days of being seen as weak and insignificant were over. The battle had shown the universe that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and anyone who doubted them would pay the price. The Fury, despite its age and wear, had proven that even the oldest warships could make a difference in a fight. With their victory, humanity had sent a clear message. They were not to be underestimated. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, showing the galaxy that the spirit of survival could overcome even the most powerful enemies. As Earth's skies remained clear, with the wreckage of alien ships scattered across space, humanity stood tall. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. There would always be new threats, new challenges to face, but Bonner knew that humanity would rise to meet them, just as they had done before. The Fury had shown them what they were capable of, and no one could take that away. The final message was clear: humanity would never be forgotten. And with that, the Fury's legacy lived on. An old ship that had defied the impossible, and a reminder that even the most unlikely heroes could change the fate of the galaxy.